And welcome to a new studio vlog. Today I'm going to be creating a hand painted sign onto here and just having a little bit of a catch up and where I'm at and just generally talking about business and where I'm at the moment. Last night I had the great idea, or not so great, whichever way you look at it. Last night I had the idea of creating a piece for my home, essentially. So I wanted a little bit more of a interior design look at this poster as opposed to something a little bit more industrial. So what I've done at home with our decorating is we've done a lot of what's the word for it? I can't think of the word, but basically we've used, there is a word for it and I can't think. We've used the same colour paint to do our skirting boards. All the woodwork in our house matches the colour of the walls, and because we bought an old house, it allows that feel for like a really like heritage look. It's in keeping with the house but still feels a little bit fresh and modern and just something a little bit different. So I thought, why not bring this style into what I'm trying to create? So I went to B&Q, got some wood cut, and I picked up some skirting board, some finishing wood, and I painted it last night in the colour to save my time today, just because as well it's a boring job. But yeah, I don't know if you can see. But that's essentially what it'll be like, and I quite like that it just adds a little bit of detail to the plain wood, but I do need to sand it off. So that is my first job. Let's find some sandpaper. I haven't actually got too much of an idea over what I'm going to paint today. I did map out one idea last week on Instagram, and I think on Procreate, and then I posted it to Instagram, and I think I might actually go with this, or at least for this little piece. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Just going to quickly sand this off, and I know this is probably really annoying, so I won't include the audio, and I'll just get this done one sec. I'm going to put my bead in an edge over there. In terms of the board, I'm going to put that one down here to do later. And this colour in here doesn't look great, I'm not going to lie. I don't know if it translates on there very well, but against the white, I think it looks odd. So I don't think it's a piece that I can put in here. It looks too stark basically against the white's throwing it off a little bit, whereas at home we have a lot of old wood, so there's a lot of warmth in the house. It's not very, there isn't any white really in the house. But what I was thinking of doing is, depending on if this design works, I might turn it into a print and turn it in for my shop, which I'll come on to in a little bit. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's put my sandpaper over here, and I just need to grab my laptop. Right, I'm gonna need my laptop to just, wrong way, map out what it is that I'm doing. So this is the design that I did show to Instagram. Let me find it. It is changed a little bit because I'm going to do a more traditional border. So this piece is inspired from my daughter because all the sacrifices that I've made in my business today since having my daughter have all been for her. It's been hard, it's been wonderful, but essentially it's all been about her and around her, and I just wanted to create this piece. I think I've drawn it here portrait, but I think I may have to just change the design and make it landscape, so I think I may have to have a figure around. I'm going to do that on the computer now. So I'm going to work in somewhere like, let's do InDesign for this for a second. So whilst I do this, I'll just talk you through where I've been with my business. Before I do that, I've got to measure this. Here's me. I'm sure I've lost the ability to talk and do things at the same time. To say I multitask a million jobs, I can't. So that's 31. Height 310. Yeah, I seem to have lost the ability to talk and actually make. So the width on that is 400. So I've been reading a book which I can't remember the name of. I'm gonna have to Google the name. And I haven't got any internet. That's a good start, isn't it? The Artist's Way, that's it. So it's The Artist's Way by Julia, I want to say Julia. Yes, Julia Cameron. I'm taking it really slow with the book, but it's a spiritual guide handbook where you work through it. So it's not something you can just kind of read and put on the shelf. It is something that you take action with. But what I wanted to do was kind of generally read through the book first to get an overview as to what the book is asking of me, and then go back and revisit. So it's talking about doing your morning pages and journaling those thoughts. Essentially, it allows you to kind of see any patterns in how you're feeling, what it is that you want to create, identify areas that need working on. Even it could be down to, I've wrote things in my morning journal like, I've done a load of washing today, the sun is nice and warm, and I've been talking about just real mundane things in order to then, over a couple of days, there became a little bit of a pattern over what I was asking of myself and what I'm looking for and what I'm seeking. I've only dabbled in this, and I know the full effectiveness will come when you're making it part of your morning every single day. In all honesty, I do find it quite difficult when I've got to be up and my preschooler's got to be at nursery every day on the dot for a certain time. So I find that quite difficult, try and carve out that time. I'm not really a morning person. I work best late at night, but I don't feel like the reflection is probably best at the end of the day. I did enjoy it when it was part of when I was having a coffee on a morning, but the days have got really darker, and I know that's not an excuse, but it's just the mornings are so dark, and trying to get up earlier than 6 o'clock in the morning anyway to kind of get everything done it feels quite difficult. But I do want to carve out the space for it. It might be that I do it at a different time in the day, or even if it's 9 o'clock after I've kind of done the morning routine, maybe that's where it's going to fit in best. But what I kind of came under I've just, sorry, I've just opened the measurements that I've done. I'm like, that's not right. I need to go back and do that file size again. What I've struggled with and what I'm trying to identify is this phase in my business. And now I've been running my business since 2013, and I know those that have followed have seen it completely change, and it's gone like that. And essentially it evolves as anyone does through different things, not just my business itself, but personal life and how that has an effect on the business. And for me, I'm at a place where I'm 10, 11 years older than when I first started the business. And I feel like the best way I can probably describe it is I'm looking for like handmade 2.0. So an evolution of what was once my business and everything that I've learned. And I actually put a post on Instagram about this. Now, I went on Etsy, just kind of doing a little bit of market research, and so many products are priced at like easily half less than what I used to create back in like 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 2019, like, you know, throughout the years, they're actually priced half the price lower. Me in business today, with the custom materials so much higher, there is no way that I can create a sustainable business going in at half the price. Now, I've always stood by the argument, you set your own pricing depending on what's right for you, your product, your profit margins, your material costs, XYZ, covering all of that. But still, you can't help but see there is now, instead of sitting in a market where there's, you know, a few couple of hundred or a few thousand in your search, and it is just a crazy amount of search results when you're looking for something, and the drive to the bottom is crazy. And you know, in all honesty, I can't sit here and try and create a wooden ornament for £4 when I've got electric to put on, I've got a premises to run, and all of those things. So, you know, it's just one of those. So I knew as well, when I came back to my business after having my daughter, I didn't want to essentially go back and, sorry, my iPad's distracting me and going off. I didn't want to go into my business and run it the same as I once did. I was looking for that pause to then almost recreate myself. What does my business mean to me? What do I want it to look like? How do I want it to fit in with my lifestyle? In terms of now being a mom, and it primarily, you know, the business had to be running around my daughter, her schedule. And I originally wanted to start my business for the flexibility of my own time. That was where it all started from. And obviously, back before I had responsibilities, that very much looked like me just taking time off when I wanted to, doing doctor's appointments when I wanted to, all those things. But these days, that flexibility looks different because it's always putting someone else first. And my business has had to find its way of slotting around that. And I think for the best part of 3 years, I've probably struggled with that, in all honesty. I think it's only now I'm starting to get used to what that looks like. And obviously my time has become a little bit more available. And it's been a difficult space to navigate. And I've not understood how to really navigate that online as well, and how to show up in my business. So there's been a lot of work behind closed doors. I've been quite fragmented with things I've been online because my time has been incredibly reduced to what I used to have. And I just wanted to enjoy that time with my daughter. And I've tried to understand the space within my work to allow myself to understand what Handmade 2.0 essentially was going to look like. So that's where I've been, that's what I've been doing. I've thrown myself a lot into marketing. I really enjoy that aspect, but I also understand is that I really enjoy using my hands and being creative, and I have to have that part of me and my business in order to feel connected. So with those two things in mind, it's how do you connect the dots and how do you make that make sense? So that's kind of where we're at today, and I'll explain a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and concentrate now on the design, and then I'll hop back on with yourselves with a paintbrush in hand, and I'll share a little bit more about where I've been up to and where the business is going. All right, let's get a paintbrush. I feel like I don't. Let's go with that one. And then I need some paint. I'm going to go with the Humbrol black. Yeah, let's go black. So here's my little tin. And I'm going to need some white spirits and a little glass. I've got that one actually, I can use that. I could do with something to put down to protect my surfaces. Let's have a look at this. That'll do. I've just got it from my screen printing. Just going to open my tin of paint. Okay. Oh, why is it always so nerve-wracking to make your first stroke? I decided to open up a Shopify store. I do it, I say daily, I do it often with other people's brands, and I integrate it into their email marketing, and I really like that it's got an easy way to use it and connect with Google Merchant Store, and that can connect you to YouTube, so customers who can shop kind of from YouTube. And the way in which Shopify work is they really simplify the steps. I'll just kick the radiator. They really simplify the steps between the buyer finding the product and then checking out. So that's what I've always really liked about it. However, with that being said, I've never actually used it for my own products, and it is a little bit pricier than other plans and building websites, but I thought, if I'm going to go about this and I want to create a really sustainable business model, I want to really do some more work on the search engine optimization of the website in order to help the products be ranked, and just to try and get the business to a point of working for me. Used to with Etsy, but I no longer want to go onto the platform and I want to do something on my own standalone domain basically. So that's the route that I'm going to go down. With that being said, this is not easy. Here's me concentrating. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with my store. So it's not open to the public yet. It is something that still needs a lot of work on, but I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks to months, and I'm not going to put any pressure on myself, I'm hoping it's going to be at a point of being able to launch. This is so precise, and I'm going to have to zoom in when I get to a point that the chalking of my lines are incredibly hard to see. Yeah, I haven't picked an easy task for me here. I was going to do a traditional sign writing style like you've seen in my last video, but I thought I'd give myself a little bit of a challenge, and challenge accepted, because this is proving not easy. I used to do this so often as well, and I feel like I've just kind of just let, oh yeah, that's, kind of get happy with one side and then not so happy with another, and then you don't want to mess around with it too much because it then loses its form. I think it's one of these as well. I'm going to have to do like quite a bit for it to feel like it's getting somewhere, and might even swap brushes and try what I get with this big one. This is a really big brush for this task, but it's better. I like that a lot more already. Also, I'm such a perfectionist. It's crazy. I feel like this is going to take me quite a while as well. I've been on about being conscious in taking things slow as well. It's the real driver behind everything that I do. And not only in painting, but to allow that space in marketing as well, and marketing our businesses. I do believe in taking the time that you need to really understand, and just to not fall into this crazy kind of, I want to say, rabbit hole that we can go on with the level of consumerism and speed in which social media sometimes dictates we should create content for marketing. And actually there are many other, I'm going to say, better isn't the right word, but more sustainable ways of marketing your business where we don't rely on constantly having to show up on social media. And I really stand by that. I always have. I know it's something I've always spoke about. I've always been really keen to talk about it because I actually ran my product-based business without social media. So I had social media, but I didn't link any of the products. I didn't send anyone that way, and I didn't really talk about it. And whilst it's super effective, I'm not going to sit here and say it isn't, because it's a highly effective way of selling your products. I do think that you can create a sustainable business without any of that. I think when you see people on socials, you kind of presume that that's also the route I should go at and create at, and actually you don't need to. It's understanding your market, your product, your audience, and putting it... Sorry, I was concentrating and doing a straight line. And putting it out there in front of them. Gosh, that was not an easy line to do. So that's why I'm going to trial the Shopify as well and do it from a small business point of view. Trying to watch where this line goes off. Yeah, that was not an easy letter at all. I don't even know which brush I want to use, to be honest. I might go back in with this one. I'm just going to clean my brushes now, and I have got some glass jars that were actually from yogurt pots from Aldi. So these are like the dessert goo pots, but I thought these are quite a nice size. They're quite tall. I don't want anything to go to waste, so I'm going to use those. And they just look really cute, and everything in a small size looks much cuter. I'm just going to use it to clean my brushes. I've done the first lot. Right, that's that one done. Can't remember what the drying time on this is. Oh, 6 hours. So I've basically got a 6 hour wait. So in short, I'm gonna have to come back this time tomorrow to finish it off and make sure it's fully dry. I don't want to smudge anything. So that might be what I do, and I might also do the border at the same time, or I'll take the measurements now. And I think I've left the, yeah, I've left the wood glue at home. So I need to bring that from home and make sure I bring that with me, because I'm gonna need that. This process isn't quick, what I'm doing, and I know it's not going to be. That's what I've kind of set myself up for. And again, this will be reflected in the product. I realise as well, I have got to get the measurements ready for the border. Ooh, I also need to find a mitre saw or block to cut at an angle. Whether or not I've got one, I don't know. And I say that because I've got all my granddad's old tools. So let me get my sketchbook. He used to do a lot with woodwork and things, so I try and use as much as I can of his tools, because one, I don't want them to go to waste, and secondly, they remind me of him, and it's a lovely kind of thing to use your family's tools, especially when they're no longer with us. So that's what I'm going to do in a minute. I'm going to have a look, and hopefully I can report back to you with 4 cut pieces of wood. So fingers crossed. Good morning. It's now, I was going to say the next day, and it's not. It's actually been 2 weeks. I ended up having some really important work. Not last week, the week before that, had a tight deadline, so I got that done. And then it became half term, and we basically I stripped my business back down to its bare essentials, basically, of what needs doing. So that's why anything like this kind of gets pushed to the back burner, because I'm at home with my daughter primarily. So that's where we're at. I've come in today to finish off the sign that I've painted. So today's job is to actually cut this strip of beading down to size, and then we're going to glue it in place. I do need to touch it up with some paint at home. I've left it at home. The one that's for the background, because just before I finished it, I ended up smudging it slightly in some places, so I do need to touch that up. I feel really formal for today's video, and that's because I have got viewings for schools later for my daughter, so I've got to do meetings in the afternoon, so I'm part between getting some work done this morning and off to do meet the head teachers and have a little tour doing that. So that's what I'll be doing. Even though I haven't been in here for 2 weeks, I have actually been working on the evenings at home quite a bit on my work. It has been challenging, mainly because, and it's something I've put into place for quite a while now, because I recognise the impact that it has. But I've been working on a night, but because I get carried away with my work, and I'm a bit of a night owl, and that's where I sit with my work, where I'm always my most productive. But the problem is, I'm not going to bed till like midnight. Sometimes it's even 12:30. I was even that late, the milkman came, and he did come early, but I caught the milkman. That's how late I ended up working. And then obviously I'm back in routine with my daughter, so I can't do that anymore. I'm up at like 6:30, 7 o'clock, 7:30, anything, around that time. And I just can't run to that tune anymore. Rewind to all the years ago when I was kind of building my business, I could do that. It was just myself. So if I wanted to stay in bed an hour longer, that was okay. I wasn't running to anyone else's time. But I recognise that it doesn't last for very long. It's when she's off nursery and I don't necessarily have the time in the day, because that time is dedicated to being with her. And it's just something I have to do temporarily. But it's not good. Keep going to bed that late and then having to get up so early, and then, primarily be mum and then do my business on a night. Whilst it's temporary, I accept that. But this week we're back to some sort of rhythm and some normality. So we are thankfully able to work on my business in some nursery hours, which, definitely helps. What else was I going to talk about? Oh, that was it. So on the evening, I've been doing a Shopify store. So I actually, I've just kicked the radiator. If I'm going to have somewhere for products, I wanted to use Shopify based on how I've used that with other businesses, and I think it'd work really well within what I'm doing, where work on my business, so my business is working for me, and it can be found in search and it can be found here on YouTube, and it just seemed the most logical answer. That being said, even though it's not necessarily difficult to do, it's just a case of, you know, when you're starting from zero, all the legwork that comes with it, doing all the descriptions, titles, tags, images, page kind of setup, layout, integrating apps with Shopify, because it's actually really basic formula. So it starts to get complicated when you start adding apps, but you almost need the apps within the software to kind of take your shop that one bit further. Just things like integrated social media feeds, email marketing. So nothing like, you know, crazy, just kind of the basics there. The downside with Shopify is it does start, for a full structured store, it starts at around £19 at the moment. So obviously before you've made any sales, there's the initial cost there. You can have a mobile version where it's like for social media where it's £5, but you've got very limited control. But if you do want to just look at selling products, that could be an option. But I just really liked, I use ShopPay a lot, where, you know, where it's like the app and you can track your order, because a lot of other shops use it. Things like Yoto, my Wild subscription for my deodorant. And I always like that concept. So yeah, that's one of the key points. I like the email marketing that you can do, especially with MailChimp. You can integrate the Shopify onto there. I like that you can connect it to a Google merchant store, so it can show up in Google, and then likewise with YouTube, they can show up in YouTube. So those are the main reason why I've gone with Shopify. I'm not actually on Etsy. There's a whole nother story to that, which I'll explain in another video. But basically, long story short, I left my Etsy abandoned after maternity leave. I grew it to about 15,000 sales. It very much worked for me in my business, but basically I'm locked out of my Etsy and I can't retrieve it. And because it's been that long, I've got a closed account. So I got in touch with them, tried to find a way back of retrieving it, and they were like, yeah, no, you're gonna have to start a new account. And I was like, do I want to start a new one? Not really. So I just thought, let's try going alone, seeing where it takes me, and then we can always, you know, revisit this in a year's time and reevaluate. But for now, I'm just going to go to Shopify and do it that way. Aiming to get my store ready for the new year. I'm not in any rush with it. I do want it to be right before, or at least 3/4 right before I kind of hit launch. I don't want to just roll it out there and then, you know, just be hit with like snags and just, yeah. I want to really understand my business model, what I'm offering, what I'm providing, and hopefully that translates to making sense here on the channel and on the website. So even though my business is probably 3/4 service based, I do want to get back to creating products, purely because that's where my enjoyment comes with the business, and that's initially why I started working for myself. I love using tools, paintbrushes, woodwork stuff, my laser cutting machines. I love all of that as part of my business. And I know people here aren't here for the marketing side of it, but there is ultimately a big passion that lies with me with the marketing. I'm here to inspire you guys to run a creative business, and I think the things that I've learned along the way in terms of marketing are useful in terms of putting that time into your business. So I think there is things that you know, we can have discussions on, and what we can share and learn. I do love creating, and that's where it comes from. So a lot of it will be custom work, where they're going to be one-offs, and they can be completely customizable, And then the other element of it will be posters, bookmarks, things like that, like small letterbox type products. And then the other side of it is the digital. So you've still got my Skillshare classes, my digital brushes for hand lettering. So we've still got that aspect, and it'll be a case of kind of building both. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm really excited. I'm going to take my coat off because I don't want to go anywhere near any of these materials with this coat on. I'm going to start with the beading, but I also really wanted to do a YouTube live, and I have absolutely no idea how that would go. I've never done one, only because they've done it in vertical format with YouTube Shorts, and I thought why not just have a go? At the end of the day, you don't know how it's going to go. I don't know if 2 people are going to watch, if 300 people are going to watch, if actually it gains momentum by being in the feed. I have no idea, but I thought we'll just give it a go. I haven't even got a clue about what I'm going to go live with. I don't know if it'll just be a little bit like this, like a chat Q&A type style, or if I'll have my iPad and I'll be drawing. Who knows? But I might switch you on for that to dive into it and show a little bit behind the scenes. But yeah, don't know. We're gonna roll with today and see where it goes. Let's take my coat off. This has just been done. I've used a simple mitre block, and we've cut our strips. So as it all needs gluing, but here is my frame. And where have I put my wood glue? Here it is. I'm going to be using No Nonsense D3 wood adhesive, interior and exterior, water resistant and paintable. Apply with notched trowel or brush on one surface to be bonded. Join and compress parts together for 1 to 2 hours. Curing time depends on the type of wood, temperature, amount of adhesive and the porosity of materials. Do not dilute. I'm going to use an old brush. Let's move you back a little bit. I realise how close this is. Right, let's move you all the way back. I realise with a 50mm lens, sometimes it's a little bit too cropped in. Okay, so we are going to position those in place. I think because it's 1 to 2 hours, it will have movability. Just want to get it all nice and covered. I think in future I may do this before I just thought it might have been uncomfortable, but I think I might do it first before I do another job. But because this was the first one of its kind, I just wanted to have a play around with it. Just put some glue in that join. Okay, whilst that is drying, I'm going to do a quick tidy up here. I think that bit could just do with a bit more glue. And I'm going to go and put that somewhere to dry, and then put some weight on it too. So use these boards. Have I got anything else? Let's use an unplugged printer. Right, that should be enough weight. Okay, like let's tidy up here. I'm gonna keep those in case I need them. Where can I put them? Let's put them up there for now. For the next bit, I'm going to go live on YouTube, and I'm going to use this little bendy arm. Let's attach it to here. And do I want an overhead? Maybe. I'm not going to be able to see what anyone's saying. That's my only problem, but we'll roll with it. And it may be that I actually attach this microphone to my phone. So let's get my iPad. It's my iPad ready. What I'm going to do is with my mics, so this one, the transmitter is currently plugged into my camera. But what I can do is just use this little iPhone adapter, or there's a USB-C. You plug it into the transmitter and you just plug it into the end. So I'm going to actually take my phone cover off my case. You pop this in here. I'm going to go and grab the transmitter, and then we're going to go live and see how we go. Okay, so the audio is now going to be a lot worse where you are. I'm plugging this in here. Yep, that's working, and I'm recording. So let's head to YouTube. We can so let's put you in position. I need to flip the camera. I've just finished the live. I best take this down, don't I? And it went better than I thought. I didn't know what to expect. At times you can see there's only 2 or 3 people checking in with you live. I didn't know what to expect, if I'm honest. So I just rolled with it. I basically ended up, I'll show you here actually. So I ended up writing everyone's names for the best part of an hour. Here are some of the examples. I don't know if it will show you or not. But I did that for an hour. And then at the end, I told everyone I was kind of finishing for the hour. And then I was going to do a little bit of a studio tour and just explain what it is that I'm working on. I ended up having 408 people check in over that hour, which was more than I was expecting. The average watch time over that was 3 hours spent, well, 2 hours 44, sorry, and 20 seconds to be precise. And that's how much time was spent watching my work. Now, I think this is a really useful tool. I was on live for an hour and 11 minutes. I think the best way that I can optimize this is by letting people know that I'm going to be live a certain time every week, and kind of allow people the chance to kind of tune in, as well as capturing, you know, new people. It'd be nice if the regular kind of people that I say hello to and I've built that community also pop by as well. Because yeah, this was just based on completely on a whim, just deciding today, like, let's go for it, let's do a live. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think in comparison, I've done a TikTok live before, and I think I mean, that got kind of crazy for me anyway, that I've only ever done it once and I'm not really on TikTok, but I decided to go live and try it on there, and that was quite lovely that I had a few people that already follow my work kind of join me, and so they knew me, knew what I was about, and they were asking questions where they'd seen stuff on the channel. But that got to around, I think around 200 and something people joined me over the space of 40 minutes. And at one time there was around 50, 60 people watching at the same time. So that was lovely. That felt a little crazier though. You'd got like emojis going off the screen, and not emojis, yeah, like emojis, like hearts and thumbs up, and it was all a little bit too much for my brain to kind of like, I kept getting distracted and I was watching that going off and it was live. It was a lot. Whereas YouTube felt a lot calmer. It felt more relaxing. The only thing I'd say is because I was recording, as opposed to face to face, because I was recording down onto my iPad and what I was doing, I think that was a little bit harder for me to engage, or me as a person. So maybe next time I'll try live and I'll just go talking straight to the camera and asking those questions. It was really good fun, and it's really weird where I get quite scared about the idea of going live, but actually the reality of it is it's actually quite a lot of fun. I did have 2 blips where the dog wanted to come in. I mean, now that I've started recording and we're not live, the dog's chilled and she's next to me. She's just on the floor at the moment. I would turn the camera on, but obviously I'm filming you guys. Actually, I'll take a picture and I'll show you right now. So here's the dog. Let's just zoom in. Here's the dog. Chilling, having a bit of a snooze. Whereas when I was on live, she was in and out the door. She wanted to come in. She was barking. So, lesson learned. And I'd say I'd leave her at home because you want as little disruption as possible. But she's part of me. She's part of my life. We're going to roll with it. I'm not going to apologise for having my dog because I absolutely love having my dog here. So yeah, that was that. I did a little bit of a live showing everyone what my Shopify website was doing and where I was at. And yeah, it was just generally really good fun. And oh, by the way, I took the printer off to see if this was done, and it is all fixed. So, I don't know if you can see, but it was quite nice actually because I was literally waiting for paint to dry. So it was a nice way to spend an hour just engaging with people. But yeah, this is how this one's turned out. I think it doesn't look as right here in the office because it was primarily for at home. That being said, I need to, yeah, maybe I'll take it home and have a look, but I will picture it because what I'm going to do is actually offer it as a custom option. So you'll be able to choose your own wording. It doesn't have to be this. This was just something that I felt kind of, I just made it up out of my head, but it's for my daughter and it's just words that spoke to me. So that's why I've written this one. But the item to purchase will essentially be a fully customizable option. You can choose the background, again match it to the wood because it does give a nice effect. Again, it'll come with a border. You can choose the style of font. But yeah, it'll be a fully customizable, shoppable item. I've just realised the time here. It's 12:15 and I've got to be at my meeting in the next 45 minutes. And I've still got to pack up, take the dog home and finish this vlog and just finish up on some emails before I finish for the day. So with that being said, I'll love and leave you here for today's vlog. In next week's vlog, next week? Yeah, hopefully I can film next week. In next week's vlog, I will be keeping you up to date with where I'm at with my Shopify store. And if anyone else has a Shopify store, let me know in the comments below as well. And also, if you're another small business, it just helps to kind of share the love and just a little bit more exposure. I've just done my live on YouTube, and I think what I might do next time as well is actually ask for some Q&A. So if you have any questions that you'd like answering, let me know for that, as it's something that I can kind of pre-arrange the questions ready and have them printed, and then that can get the ball rolling, and then any other questions that come in on the live can be answered. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun. I know this has been a lot of talking in this video, so I do apologise. But basically, I've just been really busy working in my business. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.